This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast. This is the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you in your business journeys. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's Partnership Coordinator. Today, I'm joined with a very special guest, Shane Walker from Qube Money. Hi, Shane. How are you?
Good. Hi, Daniela. I'm great.
Very excited to have you on the show today. We have really cool things planned to talk about, but just to get started and break the ice, for people watching who are not familiar with you or Qube Money, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what Qube Money is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, just a little bit about me, kind of some crazy facts. I'm the ninth of 12 children, same mom, same dad. Grew up in a 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. No
Oh
joke.
my gosh.
So, anyways, we didn't have a lot of money. In fact, we didn't have any money. Like it was things were really tight. That house was a hot pink house that we rented, and 8 of us were boys. So we always loved that, right?
No privacy then.
So, anyways, but I have spent the last 20 years in the financial planning, financial services industry, helping specifically entrepreneurs in their journey with money because it's unique. And I'm married with 8 children to the love of my life. We love to snow ski.
Children, so you followed in your parents' footsteps too.
We did. We're crazy, but man, I love them. And they're super awesome. Our oldest is actually 22 and married and expecting their first child. So I'm going to be a grandpa.
Yes. Wow, you're such a young grandpa too.
No, seriously, that's what I was thinking of me. You should see my wife. She looks like a really, really young grandma. But anyways, we're so excited. And then our youngest is 5, our youngest daughter. And so anyways, that's a little bit about us. And we love hiking, camping, backpacking, and all that stuff, of course. But yes, as far as professionally goes, I've spent the last 20 years, like I said, helping entrepreneurs with their journey with money. And it's interesting as an entrepreneur, you have twice the responsibility because you have to manage the finances of a company, a growing company, hopefully, and then also manage the finances of a household. And to be frank, that's hard. That's hard. It's really hard because, you know, the business is generally, I'm an entrepreneur, so I get it. It's like I'm very passionate about what I do. And so I'm a workaholic, right? And I'm laser focused in that. And so most of the time the personal finances, the money at home gets neglected and it's a mess. You couple that with a volatile income because you never know how much money is going to come in or not. And it's a challenging road to path to follow for people. So,
Big family doesn't make it easier.
no.
I am from a big household too, not as big as yours, but a lot of the stuff that you were saying was actually resonating with me because so we're 5 kids. Um, it's not 8 or 9 children, but it's usually people are like, "Oh, you guys are like a big family," and we're like, "Yeah." And what you were saying about having financial struggles, like that's like as a family, that was like my childhood was. I don't think we ever were like loose on money, and like
Yeah.
managing the financial side of the household has always been a huge thing for like that part of the structure of the family. And now that we're like me and my siblings, we've all grown up, so it's different now. But I do remember my childhood being like that too.
Yeah. Oh, we relate, Danielle. That's me too. We didn't have any extra money for fun, so we did a lot of things that were free, right? But I really appreciate my mom and dad because they had a philosophy where, we work together, play together, and help others along the way. And it's so funny because today, 9 of us live within 30 minutes of each other, and we often find ourselves reminiscing about the good old days. Not no money, but we had love. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot
Of
of
each other,
friends.
yeah.
Yeah, it was super super cool. And so it's one of the reasons that I chose to go into this space because money can be such an enriching thing, and it's so part of every part of life, And it's to be frank, it's super emotional and super.
Whoever says that money doesn't buy happiness is lying. It doesn't buy entirely, right?
Mhm.
But I definitely think that financial struggles really take a toll on your emotional stability.
Oh, huge. And it doesn't buy happiness, but how you interact with it determines your happiness in a lot of ways. So,
Yeah,
and especially in a relationship, if you do money with somebody else.
totally agree. Yeah. That's why I was thinking, I know that Cube is all about helping with financial stability. And before we got on this call, we were talking about entrepreneurs and how entrepreneurs really struggle with um, financial the financial aspect of their private life, even though they might have the bookkeeping and all of that
Mhm.
ready to go in their business, right? And as someone who's come from a household that has also had a lot of financial struggles, simply because we were a lot, right? I think I had that situation with you. It's the same thing. It's like going out to dinner as a group of 7 and only my parents are paying. That means it's like a $300 bill, right?
Yes.
Whereas, if it's a family of 4, it's not gonna be nearly as expensive. Um,
Half as expensive.
it's still expensive. I think the world is really expensive right now, but, I totally relate to what you said because I feel like normal things that families could probably do together for us meant such a higher number of bills. I mean, we were on vacation and a family vacation for us was gonna be thousands and thousands of dollars, whereas, a family vacation for my friend who only had a brother was relatively cheap. It was easier to book a room, it was easier to find a place to sit, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's really interesting that Cube is all about that, and I was wanted to ask you about your perspective on this and kind of just tell me how it is that you're helping people who do have these financial struggles and how you actually leverage your software and your brand to help them with that, especially entrepreneurs.
Maybe Danielle, it would be helpful to give people a context to why we built Cube Money. Start there and then go into that. Would that be okay? Does that sound good? Okay. So, in working with entrepreneurs about 15 years, something happened to our world that completely changed the way we interact with each other and the way we spend money. And that is social media. And
You
so
can just get Coke.
yeah, I was a little bit more recent than 15 years, but yeah, but so it really is social media. And what I found, here's what happened is it didn't change the behavior or the I guess vision and focus of an entrepreneur. Like if you're anything like me, like you have this vision and this passion of something that you're creating, and it is exciting and it is consuming. And so that the entrepreneur, those of us that are entrepreneurs that are listening to this, we go to work and we are all into creating this. And there's a lot of parts of that. There's the marketing part, there's the financial part, there's generally the product or delivery part, right? And then there's the leadership. And so those things are consuming everything we're doing, which leaves our significant other, spouse, whatever at home, not feeling that same passion and in a way feeling disconnected. And what social media did is it created a way for them to connect. And all of a sudden, they see what all their friends are doing, the fun that they're having, the things that they're buying, where they're going out to eat. And our human nature is to want that. Even if we have a great lifestyle, wow, I want that. In fact, I was talking to a friend the other day, and he and his spouse were looking at their friend's new couch that they just bought, and they were like, wow, that is a super, like, I want that couch. And then several hours later, they were like, oh, that is our couch. So it was the same couch that they owned, but because they saw it online with their plans, they wanted it, right? And so what's happened is feeling disconnected, that spouse or significant other is scrolling and scrolling, click buy, scroll, click buy. And the entrepreneur is doesn't know like money and income is fluctuating up and down and oftentimes comes back and says, what are you doing? We don't have the money, and it creates this explosion. And to avoid that conflict, the entrepreneur goes back to work. And so then the spouse goes back to connect on social media. And this behavior, it's like it's cyclical, come together, explode, go back over and over and over. And I've watched couples, more and more couples breaking up and dividing because we can literally buy anything that we want in our pajamas, 40 million products on Amazon. And in
Actually,
the last, yeah, but it's just exploded. And so it's so easy. And so spending behavior is completely changed. And to be honest, this is such a new phenomenon that we really don't know what the consequences of this is going to be. But we do know, go ahead, you would.
no, I think also like a huge factor for this is that with entrepreneurship and a business owner, we're not looking at stability in anything, right? There's no stability in working hours. Most of the time, a business owner is locked in. You know, you're clocked in 24/7. Um, you're not looking at financial stability. Even if you're getting like a good money, you never know how much every month that is going to be. Which I think really influences to it also destabilizes a relationship because everything is unstable, right?
Oh, so much. And it also can desensitize us in where we're really at because we don't want to face it. It's like better to stick our head in the sand and just ignore it than to face it, like seriously face it. But if we don't face it, it creates, as I've worked with couples, intense anxiety and stress and then conflict. And before social media, before Amazon, before all these things, money was the number one source of stress in our world. And it is the leading cause of divorce. It's one of the leading causes of suicide. And I will say that it's now 70% of families, money is direct deposited into their account, auto drafted out, and they don't know where their money is going. So, anyways, long story short, what happened is um, I noticed that when I helped couples adopt cash envelope budgeting, and let me just really quick, cash envelope budgeting means you cash your check and you label envelopes for your different spending categories like groceries and eating out and entertainment and fuel and so forth. And then you organize your money, you budget your money into those envelopes. And what happened is as each time they went to spend, they would take out the coordinating envelope. If they're buying groceries, they'd take out the grocery envelope and they would watch that money leave. And so it would change their behavior, their spending behavior, and get them in control instantly. And I was like, wow, even in the midst of this complete awareness of everyone else's lifestyle and the ability to buy everything, it created that type of awareness. And so I explored and researched what is it? And the key to getting our behavior in check, our spending behavior in check, is to know what our money is for in the moment we make a spending decision. So here's the problem though, Daniela. Here's what didn't. I was referred into a couple, my partner and I, who just became kindred friends. You know how those people that you just connect instantly? That's how they were. And it was like super fun. And they've been making $250,000 a year for over a decade as we got into their finances. They'd been fighting about money for a decade. He was actually the entrepreneur and he was the spender. She wants security and safety. And he finally came to the point where I need to change. And that's when they came to us. So there's this beautiful coming together. And I was like, this is going to be so easy. We are going to make some simple changes and we're going to completely transform this couple's relationship, their money. And it was super exciting. They were divorced in 10 months and we didn't help them. And it was like devastating, to be honest. And so this is what caused us to sit down with the payment processing developer and say, hey, is there any way we could take this cash envelope budgeting methodology and bring it to the 21st century? So literally you can organize your money digitally in digital envelopes and with the convenience of a debit card, be able to spend from any of those categories in real time. And this debit card is a special debit card, Danielle. By design, there's no available balance on it. It's a fully functioning Visa debit card, but there's no money on it. So if someone gets a hold of my number or a hold of my card, they actually can't spend my money. So
Does it work worldwide or just American?
worldwide, anywhere where Visa is taken, it works. Okay. So how you activate the money is you actually look at your Qube Money is literally a digital banking app. You look at your app and you touch the dollar value in whichever category you want to spend from, and within 0.25 seconds, the balance of that category. So if you press the $250 in your grocery category, that $250 is instantly on the card. And as soon as you process the card, it returns the card to a zero available balance and closes that category, and it reflects the money you just spent in real time. So it changes this whole budgeting experience from looking at your money through the rear view mirror. You know, the budgeting apps that feed in the transactions, you categorize them afterwards. Well, you've already spent the money, it's too late. And all you're doing is looking for your mistakes, which never makes us feel good. And actually, when you point out mistakes, it doesn't change behavior effectively. It's when you can look at your money through the windshield and make decisions in real time based on your money is when you make better decisions. And that's what Qube Money empowers couples to do together, and actually empowers an individual to do it to themselves as well. But it just allows you to simply, easily, automatically, when your check comes in, it's organized based on your plan, based on your categories. And then each time you spend, you just simply look so you know what your money is for in the second that you're making a spending decision.
That's, I think, a really groundbreaking thing because, okay, I think I think, for example, when I travel, right? Like if I'm going on vacation or something,
Uh-huh.
that's huge, the moment when budgeting is like important because you need to see how much money you're spending on this trip.
But most people, that's when they don't think about it all because they're like, I'm on vacation. I'm not going to think about it. But then they come home with this big credit card bill and they're paying interest and it's so frustrating. But yeah,
And like I remember going to, okay, I've traveled a lot in Asia. Asia, like the conversion rate in money, like for example, in Vietnam, the like I think I remember exchanging about $400 and they gave me more than 1 million dong, which is insane because I'm not familiar with this. The word has eluded me.
yeah.
Yeah, not Yeah, I'm not familiar with the conversion rate, so it was really hard for me to just, like, walk down the street and think, "Oh, this is 75,000. How much is that in dollars?" And I can't think. I have to, like, think, and I think that enables people to spend more because you're not even aware of how much money you're actually spending because 'cause you're not familiar with that country's currency. It's easy to convert from euros to dollars, it's easy to convert from Mexican pesos and, like, money that you're a little bit more familiar with, but I think it happened to me a lot. Like, with I was in Japan, I had the same issue of, like, and, Japan has so many cool things to buy, so I was just like, "Just 10,000 yen." Like, Yeah, and I think, like, it's huge because then you don't know you're not budgeting. I tried once to write on my notes app every single expense that I was having, but that's so tiresome, and, like
It's so much work, right? And
yeah.
then that what you just shared, that analogy, is actually so reflective of what's happening actually with our money in dollars. We
Yeah.
know how much it's worth, but we're just not. Most people aren't aware where it's going. They don't know where it's going. And how many of us, like, wait a minute, I just paid myself $4,000. Where did it go? Right?
Subscriptions that we pay for that we don't even remember.
Yeah, and it's like we have the same, oftentimes the same bills, whether it's rent or a mortgage and a power bill and a phone bill and so forth. But with our current banking structure, all that money being in one location, it's hard to mentally account for everything without being able to organize it. And so Cube is simply the ability to say, okay, I need this much for my rent or my mortgage. Here's for my phone bill. Here's for this. And all those payments actually happen automatically. You don't have to open any of the categories that are for bills. Those you just simply have their own unique card and own unique account, which keeps the money really secure. But you can set up all those automatic payments. But then now, the money that you have set aside for groceries and for fun and for a coffee and for whatever, it's money that you have permission to spend because you've already accounted for everything else and you're aware. Instead of it being like, where did my money go? You're like, oh, awesome. I have this much money to go out and have fun with my friends or to do this with my family because it's real. And it totally changes how people interact with money, how they feel about it. And it creates really peace, joy, and freedom. It's one of the best.
And does it connect to bankings, like, from all over the world as well, or does it only
Yeah,
for the
yeah, exactly. So, through Plaid, you can connect your Cube Money bank account to any of the other financial institutions that are connected, which is most. And so you can move money to and from, but it's literally an FDIC insured environment that just simply allows you to organize your money and then spend directly from that organization. So couples can work together, people can have awareness, and they make better decisions. Actually, like if you make less than $100,000 a year, our average user saves between $500 and $1,000 a month. Not because we control that, we just help them have awareness. And if you make over $100,000 a year, you're saving $1,000 to $2,000. It's crazy. A month.
What is the like, is the service does it have a pricing for it? Do you guys have an app? I guess I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So
We're
we
on the
are
and
a banking and a budgeting app together in one, and it is $12 a month or $108 a year for the premium account, and that's for an individual or for there's joint account capabilities, gives you unlimited categories and subscription controls, up to $10 a month in ATM fee reimbursements. So it's actually, there's a lot of really good features. And then we have a family account. If you have children that you're wanting to teach about money, it allows you to have up to 5 custodial accounts. So each one of your children can have their own account and their own card, but you as the primary account holder have visibility to their
okay.
profile right in the side of your app. So you can go to their profile and see where they're spending their money, how they're budgeting their money, and help teach them about money. And
That's incredible. Yeah.
just
I think we live in a world where money is um I think money has been sort of put at the forefront of a lot of things. Unfortunately, I think it's made us very materialistic. But I feel as if a lot of times we struggle because we don't understand our financial struggles properly. Um I've seen that happen in my own personal life, like whether it's a friend, a family, myself. I think when I became independent for the first it was really overwhelming because I had to pay a bunch of stuff and I was a very sheltered child where I was I was just in my house. My parents did everything and I didn't even know how much money they were making a month. I was just kind of like, yeah, that's that. Um, and so I remember sort of being overwhelmed with it and like, okay, how do I budget? How do I save up? How do I, like, especially for people who have lower incomes. it's really hard because I think if you have a low income and you're not organized, it's going to make the financial struggle even worse than if you have high income and you're disorganized. Because I think when you have high income, at least you can afford to be messy.
Yeah, it's true, Daniela, but it's interesting. More money means more problems if you don't have control, because it just means you're like, if you make $1 million, you're spending 1.1 million. It just makes those problems that much larger. And
Yes,
I have
that
seen
is perfect.
entrepreneurs, yeah, that have monthly payments, debt payments of 6 figures, because they had just expanded their lifestyle and their debt payments to fill that income. And man, if their income changes, think about trying to deal with over $100,000 a month in payments.
I think what's insane also is that just credit cards in general have been so introduced into people's regular spending. And I think credit cards are a really, really easy way for you to lose control. And then, just kind of like you put everything on a credit card and then you don't have money to pay for it.
Now, there's 4 things as far as spending behavior goes. There's 4 things that have happened in a little more than our lifetime. Okay, but think about how, like, similar the currency mechanisms or currency models of the world were for centuries, centuries and centuries and centuries. And then all of a sudden, the credit card was introduced into our world, and widespread access to credit became available. Then that created the digitization of our money. So now it's just a digital number in an account, in an online account, instead of physical, tangible, which created less awareness. And then social media and widespread e-commerce, where we don't even have to go into the store. Those 4 things coupled together, Daniela, have completely transformed the way we interact with money. And no wonder we're like trying to figure out how to get all this to work. And you add that to an entrepreneur's life, where they're trying to manage all that inside of the business with, like you said, all of the all of the like the lack of structure and the lack of guarantees. I forgot what the word you used, to then trying to do that personally. And so what we've done is we've created a banking system for the personal life to make that so easy. Now, I will say that just like when you went out on your own and you started doing money yourself, it took some time figuring that out. Like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I need to have money for this, and I need to have money for this and this. Same thing. When you start using Qube Money, there is a 30 to 60 day just transition period where you're getting your money to start to behave like you want to. You're getting it in a organization and in a system, so it's easy. But once you get past that and you get in your routine, everything is automated
That
and everything is clear. Like, you have awareness. And the thing that we hear the most from entrepreneurs is, I can't believe how easy this is. I cannot believe how much this has changed my relationship with with my significant other, my spouse. I can't believe how much control I have. I can't believe how much confident I am. And those are beautiful things. And if you go to the app reviews, then you can do that. So, anyways, it's really, like, it's been so fulfilling to see it. This has been a super big and hard project to create, but it's really neat to see the impact that it's having in people's lives. I love it.
gosh, I think that's a really I really love when a business owner has a heartfelt sort of message. I think it's really important to be connected to your business, right? And I think that that's really great that you have that emotional connection to what you're doing, and it is like a great project. I think what to me is really interesting is how digitalized money is nowadays and how Cube can actually help with that. Like I was saying, like when I got independent for the first time,
Yeah.
so I got a scholarship, just for context. And my scholarship provided me with $1,000 a month, give or take. um, to basically finance everything. So I had to buy, like, I had to have money to pay school at the end of the semester, and I had to find an apartment, pay that rent, and then my living expenses, right? Those were kinda like my main, um, expenses at the time with that
Yeah.
$1,000. I had to figure out how to move it, and I think the scholarship, like, the people who were giving me the scholarship, they had already accounted for that. So then the amount was supposed to be enough, but just enough. So for a student to live, it was not a lot of money, but it was enough. Um, and they told us when we got there, because we went to study in another country. We went abroad. They
Mhm.
were like, you're not gonna get your first stipend until a month in. Like you get it at the end of the month. So you need money for that first month because you're getting settled. You're looking for a new place. You just moved to a different country. You need to buy basically every single appliance. And they told us that we we would need about $2,000 to $3,000 to show up with. And, that should be enough to get us settled, and then we were gonna start getting the payout for the scholarship, but we had to figure out how to manage that, like, initial money that we had showed up with, and I remember I don't know why, like, it makes me think how different everything was or I was. I took all that money in cash. I flew with all of that in cash, and then
Wow.
I counted that in a table because I was so afraid of having it in a bank account, because I felt like if it wasn't tangible, if I couldn't see it or touch it, I didn't understand it. I couldn't count it, and I was terrified of, like, making a big mistake with it, and I wasn't gonna be in a foreign country and, like, have no financial, like, nobody was gonna back me up, you know?
Right.
So I was terrified, and I remember, like, having even after we got that stipend, I ended up spending less than the money that I had brought initially, so I had some extra as, like, savings, I guess. I put it all in an envelope and I stacked it at the bottom of my closet. And those were my savings, and, like, it's like, I think it was really hard for me to mentally transition into doing that digitally, like, at the time, I think I was just it was very scary for me, and I was like I remember my mom telling me, like, "How can you not use online banking? Like, you're younger than me, and you're acting like you're from, like, you were born in the 1940s." And I remember being like, "Mom, I just, like, I need to see the money." Um, like, I need to count it with my hands and then separate it and then put a little paper over it that says rent. Um, so I think, like, digitalizing things, I think for I don't know if other people have felt that sort of, difficulty, right? But I was always doing that, like, wanting to do everything with cash because I felt like it made more sense. And it
You
took
know,
me a while to figure out that that was not sustainable.
uh, it really isn't in today's world, huh? Let me share an experience with my wife and I. So, like, both of us came from like lower middle class homes. Okay, so not a lot of money. Um, and after we got married, my wife's parents showed us the Marriott Rewards card, the Bonvoy card, and then also the Southwest Chase card. Both of them are Chase. And how you could sign up and get 80,000 rewards or points by spending $3,000 and then just spending another $20,000, you would get a free companion pass so that we could fly back from college back home and things like this. And I was like, wow, that is incredible. Like they will really give us free money. And so anyways, we started utilizing those cards for my business. We got a business card and then we got a personal card. Long story short, we had that same thing you were talking about with the fluctuating income going up and down and a lot of uncertainty on what was happening. And I am actually the spender in my relationship as well. My wife, she wore the same Doc Martens shoes from 8th grade and into our marriage, and I threw those things away and gave her new shoes because they were as ugly as could be. So, anyways, but she we were spending money that we didn't have, Danielle, to be honest, because it was just so easy to swipe and go. And through this time, I didn't feel good about it. My wife didn't feel good about it at all. And she was like, we shouldn't be doing this. But I was like, I'm going to make more money. It's coming in. Like, I'm working really hard. these kind of conversations. And so she always was like, "Are we making money? Or are we not making money?" Because of all that. So, and I was consistently checking our bank accounts to make sure that we're going to have enough money to pay off the credit card, and I project my income out. It was a lot of stress. Well, after a few years, we found ourselves over $100,000 in credit card debt because business didn't go like it would, in a place where we never thought we would be, a place that like our parents never were. And it was so stressful. And I actually remember having a conversation with my wife. And by the way, what am I doing for work? I'm teaching entrepreneurs how to get their money to work. And she asked me a question that changed my life. And she said, "Shane, how do you feel comfortable teaching other people about money when we have over $100,000 credit card debt?" And I could,
That's such a hard
oh my gosh. And like from that moment, I was like, we have got to change. And we tried to budget and did all these things, but it wasn't until we started using Q money. Like we were one of the first on it that we started to become aligned and we had awareness. And from that point forward, we started to save several $1,000s a month because we were making more money by that time and so forth. So, anyways, it is a really beautiful thing when you can finally face your money and really create a plan and have a system that helps you follow it.
Yeah, I
And as
think
an
like that's
entrepreneur, yeah, it's been life changing for us.
I think that's like the key to this whole conversation is just like the system that you guys can provide. Because I think, with this whole story that I shared about me doing everything with cash, I think it was just that was my problem, right? Like I didn't have a reliable system. And I was afraid of I don't know why I was so afraid of like doing it digitally. But
Well, because you lose control. And it
yeah.
really is true. And I actually, by what you did and keeping it tangible, keeping it physical, you did a better job than most people do with managing your money.
I mean, I think like I actually had a lot of problems because I moved out about a year in to living in I was living in Taiwan, for context. That was
Okay.
where I was going to college. A year into my life there, like the scholarship, I moved to a different apartment and I still had everything in cash. I lost money during the move. I like I couldn't find it. Like, the thing is that the money would get deposited to a bank account, and then I would just immediately withdraw it so that I could count it. Like, that was, like, the way that I was doing it. And up to that point, it had been working for me, and I think I had been relatively organized. Like, I had to save up about $200 a month from what I was getting paid to pay for school at the end of the month with that scholarship, and then I had about I don't know, rent was pretty cheap at that moment, so, like anyways, I think I'm like that's not important, like, the details, but the point is that, like, I remember, like, I had been able to save up for all of these kind of, like, bigger expenses, and for some reason, when I moved, I put all that money in, like, a yellow envelope, and I put it in my backpack, and I don't know what happened because I was moving stuff around. I lost some of it. I don't know if people stole it because I didn't hire any moving companies. I did it all myself. I probably
Wow.
lost it. And when I actually got to my new place and I was, like, unpacking and I was like, because I would also just, like, take out cash, and then I would say, like, "Okay, I'm gonna have $30 today, and I cannot spend more than $30 today." And I didn't have any cards on me, so I would only have that cash to spend daily, right?
Yeah.
And when I was doing that, I thought I was being so organized and so disciplined. And I start counting my money, and I lost, I think, like maybe a quarter of what I had, and I still don't know where it went. And I think that's when I realized, like, I should probably not have it all in cash on me all the time.
Wow, Daniel. How, like, when you discovered that you lost it, like, what did you do? How did you feel? Like, what?
I freaked out. I mean, I remember, like, I was freaking out. I started looking for it everywhere. I started asking everybody about it. I called the public
Wow.
transportation system. Nobody had it. I don't know. To this day, I have no idea where it went. The envelope where I had it was sealed, so I don't think I don't think anybody stole it. I genuinely think I forgot some of it at the apartment, and I just, like, didn't notice until it was too late. I asked
Wow.
the lady at the apartment to check, and she said that she had already sent a cleaning company and that they didn't find anything, so maybe the people from the cleaning company found it and they were like, "Yeah, I'm just keeping this." Which I wouldn't
Wow.
blame them.
You know,
Uh,
it's funny because that was actually one of the reasons why people like when we would help couples with using physical cash envelopes. That was one of their biggest concerns. They were worried about getting stolen or being at risk because they pull out a big wad of cash or losing it. And I
yeah.
actually, I've lost several $100,000. Man, it's like a kick in the gut. You're like,
Yeah, no,
what
I
a
actually
waste, you know?
I was lucky that, my parents had, like, taken out this debit card from my country. So I'm from El Salvador, I live here. So I had a Salvadorian debit card and, like, my parents like, I told them and they were like, "Fine, we'll transfer some money just so that you can make it to the end of the month." Because I was also in the middle of a move, which was the worst, I think, because, like, moving is expensive. People don't talk about how much money you spend when you're moving to a different place. And they were like, "You can't not have money right now." So they deposited money to that debit card, and then that's where I started using it, and then I remember my mom just kinda was like on the phone, like, "You need to stop having so much cash on you all the time." And that's when I was like, "Yeah, she's right," and then I sort of, like, changed my ways.
Yeah. Oh man, that's amazing. What a story, Daniela.
I
Honestly.
guess, like, growing pains. I
Oh
was
man.
17 at the time.
Isn't it so funny? Really, money is one of the most dynamic topics in the world. It
Yeah.
really is because it's so part of who we are, how we feel about like other people, how we feel about things. Like we all just interact with it so differently, and our behaviors with it is so different.
And
So
I think, like, it really affects a lot of times. I mean, my day was ruined, when I lost all that money. Getting money stolen, stuff like that. All of that can really affect emotional support. Yeah.
abs- absolutely, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. So, well, I'll tell you, this has been a really, really fun conversation. You didn't get into marketing. We didn't,
No,
but man, when
pretty much
I have
no.
found that when my wife and I got aligned around our financial goals, that's when my business really began to grow because it took like the stress and the emotional roller coaster of finances was finally gone. And so that I had this calm about our personal finances and our unified, I guess, plan together, like the unified plan to move forward. So I could really focus on the business and growing it and building leadership and so forth. So it is so like when we get our personal finances as entrepreneurs, when we get our personal finances in order and get aligned with our significant other, it frees up so much energy, mental, emotional, physical, to move towards growing the business in the way we really want to.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, like, financial stability is the key to a lot of things. I wouldn't say, you don't have to be a millionaire, but you need to, like, have them organized.
Yes.
And now, Shane, we're almost out of time. We did not talk about marketing, but that's okay. It was a great conversation anyway.
I'm not.
Um, and financial stability is important for entrepreneurs. Um, Before we finish the podcast, I wanted to give you the space to plug anything that you want to plug. If you want to send anybody your way of anything that we spoke about today resonated with them, if you want to talk to people, if somebody would want to use Qube, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Daniela. I just want to one thing reiterate that the key to changing spending behavior, getting spending behavior in line with who you really want to be, is to know the purpose of your money in the moment that you make spending decisions. It changes everything. Even with all of the marketing techniques and like what we're faced with social media and online buying in today's world, it gives you the presence of mind to make good decisions around money. And that is what Cube Money is all about. And if you want to learn more about Cube Money, go to cubemoney.com. That's QUBE money.com and get started to create an account. Now, just know we are a banking organization. So we have to make sure that you're you. You want us to make sure you're you. So there is personal information that you will provide through the sign up process so that we can verify based on regulations, right? We are only in operation in the United States of America today. So that's important to know that although our card you can use anywhere in that Visa is used, in order to have an account, you have to reside in the United States of America. But if you use the discount code Get Cubed at checkout, so after you go through the account creation process, you make your first deposit. If you use Get Cubed, GETQUBED, you'll get 60 months for free. And I'm excited to hear your story. It is amazing when we get money to do what we want, how much fun money can be and what it could accomplish in our lives. So with that, Danielle, I'll turn it back to you.
Amazing. Yeah, I will be adding the links to all of this to the description of our video for everybody watching. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.